was loud. It was louder than that. That was just a pale representation of how loud the smash was. Ollie ran as quickly as he could out of his apartment over to the apartment of the nice old lady that he hung out with sometimes, because she had a window onto that side of the building. He knocked on the door. She said, "Oh, yes, hold on a second. Ollie, I thought it'd be you. Come take a look at this." And they ran to the window, and a big, big tree had fallen over in the empty lot next door to the apartment building. It was a big one. I said, "Oh no, I love that tree." She said, "Yeah, it's pretty, but it is. I could tell it had been kind of diseased. I wish that the city had gotten it taken down before it fell down, but it looks like no one was hurt. But my goodness, wow, that thing was a big honking thing." I said, "Yeah, should we go down and check it out?" I said, "Sure, we'd like that." So they went down, and they weren't, of course, the only people that had that idea. Several people from the apartment building had gathered around the tree. And some people from, nearby too, not just the apartment building. Get the hand out of your mouth. It was a big old oak tree. Probably 100 feet high. And what they noticed there that was strange was that it had cracked open in some places. And it was hollow in some of those places where it cracked open. I said, "Well, I'm not a tree expert, but that seems unusual." He said, "Well, I actually do know a fair amount about trees, and it is. It's not never, but it's unusual. Usually that happens when some kind of creature has burrowed out a hollow spot for itself to live, but it's not good for the tree. That may be what killed the tree." I said, "Huh." And he went over to get a closer look. Climbed up on the tree, looked around. He walked over by one of the hollow spots, one of the ones that was the most intact. As he got closer, I thought he saw a rustling, something moving inside. He said, "Hello?" And then all of a sudden, this little blue monster popped out of there, jumped on his head. I said, hey. And jumped off of his head and jumped onto his neighbor's head. It jumped around the heads of everybody standing there. And everyone was all confused, and everyone was trying to get a good look at this thing, but it just kept hopping from head to head, and people were like, "Get off my head!" And like, "Oh gosh, it was on my head." Everyone was trying to get a square look at this thing, but it just wouldn't sit still. It was blue. It was about the size of a basketball, but not as fat as a basketball. Kind of a skinny little thing. Well, yeah. And it was fast. And it was a good jumper. An accurate jumper, too. Even if somebody was, actively trying to dodge it, somehow it still managed to land on their heads. It was amazing. And it was making these weird little, chittering noises, kind of like a squirrel. It wasn't a squirrel. Definitely not a squirrel. That you can be sure. After a few minutes of hopping around, the thing hopped its way toward the edge of the crowd, then jumped off the last person's head and skittered off down the edge of the tree trunk. Ollie gave chase. This thing was fast. This thing was faster than Ollie, but he kept up somewhat. Ollie had the advantage of knowing the neighborhood. Now he was a little bit worried. He was worried that this thing might run into traffic and get hit by a car or something, but it seemed to stay put. Well, not stay put, but stay on the sidewalk. Ollie gave chase as quickly as he could. The other advantage that Ollie had was that this thing was fast, but it really loved jumping on people's heads, it seemed. It wasn't necessarily running away from Ollie either. It was just kind of running. But if it came up behind somebody, it wouldn't just run by. It would jump on their head. If they were walking next to somebody else, it would jump on both their heads. And then it would jump back off and run. So between those different things, Ollie was keeping up, even though the thing was moving a lot faster overall. Ollie tried shouting to it. Hey, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, I can help you. Looks like your house fell down. He looked back at Ollie. It stared. Then it jumped on another person's head. And there's a statue of a lion and jumped on the lion's head. There, it regarded Ollie. I said, okay, you calming down? It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you. Do you talk? The thing sort of narrowed its eyes at Ollie. And then it jumped on Ollie's head again. But this time it stayed. I said, okay. Hi. I'm Ollie. And the thing just kind of chittered. It moved around kind of nervously on Ollie's head. I said, okay, I'm okay with you staying there. Don't bite me or anything. The thing just chittered in response. Ollie got out his phone and turned it so that the camera was facing, selfie mode, so he could get a good look at this creature. Took a couple of photos. The creature didn't seem to notice that. It was blue. He'd been right about the size of a basketball, but skinnier. Had long, skinny legs and arms, kind of a fat little belly, a skinny little chest. Hmm? It was running or jumping. I see what you mean. Yeah. When it ran on all fours, kind of like a rabbit. And when it jumped on its legs. When it was sitting on people's heads, well, on Ollie's head, it sat upright, kind of like a cat, when the cat's sitting up. Anyway, and then it had a, pretty normal looking neck. And its head was kind of, the mouth was kind of flat, like a duck's bill, but not a duck bill. Like it wasn't a separate piece, but its head was sort of shaped like that, kind of like a puppet. First thing he thought of was his friend the wizard, one that runs a magic shop downtown. So I sent the wizard a text with a photo of this creature. Put your hands down, please. Gross. Okay, hands down, thank you. Just a simple message saying, what is this thing on my head? I tried some more talking to the creature, but the creature definitely didn't talk back to him. It didn't really seem to understand, really. But then his neighbor had caught up. Oh, you've made friends with it, Ollie. I said, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was talking to it, and then it jumped on my head, and now it's staying on my head. At that, the creature jumped off and jumped on her head, but then it stayed there. She said, oh, okay, I guess I'm friends with it too now. I said, do you think it would follow us? Do you think it would stay with us if we went back inside into my apartment? Then we could keep it safe until I figure out what's going on. I said, I'm willing to try. So they walked very gently, very calmly, back to the apartment building. They were only about a block away. Ollie would run ahead and make sure nobody else came near so the creature wouldn't jump on their head instead. Same thing in the hallway. They got into Ollie's apartment. It was touch and go there. There were some people in the hallway, but Ollie got them to go further away. They thought that was very strange, but, I mean, they were right, so got that going for it. So they got into Ollie's apartment, and the creature found that very interesting. The first thing the creature spotted, get your hand out of your mouth. Put your hands down. Don't put your hand back in your mouth. The first thing the creature spotted was a bowl of fruit on Ollie's kitchen counter, and it leapt off the neighbor's head and right over to the kitchen and just started munching down the fruit. Oh my, it's hungry. Do you think it's thirsty too? I said, maybe. And he got a bowl, filled it with water, and put it over by the creature. The creature looked up and started lapping up the water too, and drinking the water, eating the fruit. It was kind of making a mess, but, Ollie didn't mind. It's a pretty unusual thing, pretty remarkable thing. He could handle a little cleanup if he got to help some weird blue monster thing. After the snack, the creature hopped back on Ollie's head. So what do we do now, Ollie? I said, well, I don't know. Let me see if the wizard got back to me. The wizard? I said, yeah, I'm friends with a wizard. This creature seemed kind of magical, so I thought maybe I'd see. Let's see what he has to say. Oh, okay. This is a tree imp. Fair enough. What does he say? Friendly creatures, but skittish. Get your hand out of your mouth and don't put it back up there again. Put your hand under your covers. Put your hand under your covers. Thank you. So I said, why don't we call him and see what he thinks we should do? I might have you do the talking so we don't spook the creature. Okay. You hang on to Milton, and I'll talk to your friend the wizard. I said, Milton? I've named him Milton. I said, we don't even know if it's a girl or a boy. I said, fair point. Maybe we should call it Pat, then. Ollie just chuckled. I'm not sure we need to give it a name, but okay, sure. It can be Pat the imp. So Ollie rang the wizard. He said, Ollie, I thought you might call. Oh, this is actually Norberta. I live down the street, down the hall from Ollie. The creature's on Ollie's head, so we didn't want to spook it. I just said, fair enough, fair enough. I'm guessing you'd like to know what to do with the tree imp. We sure would. We brought it into the apartment and gave it a bunch of food. You fed it? I said, yeah, well, we didn't exactly feed it. As soon as we got into the apartment, it saw a bowl of fruit. Went over there and helped itself, so we gave it some water. Okay. Try not to feed it anymore. I said, why? I said, well, it's a wild creature. It's a friendly wild creature, but it's a wild creature. The thing about wild creatures is when you feed them, they tend to stick around. So unless Ollie wants to have a blue imp living in his apartment full time, Ollie, he says, no, don't feed it anymore or it may move in. I said, oh, yeah, I don't think I want that. Seems like a nice enough creature, but I don't need any pets. So where should it, how do we what? I mean, I don't know what to do with an imp, I guess. If you could ask him for his ideas. The wizard said, yep, I heard that. Well, I think probably the best thing to do, well, where did it come from? So she explained how a big tree had fallen over and it had been in one of the hollows of the tree. Oh, yeah. They do like to live in trees. Well, I should say I usually find them in trees. They're kind of mysterious. We don't know a whole lot about them. You know, if you can give me a day, I could take the imp and give it a very comfortable little spot here, and I would love to learn more about the imp. And I guess what I'm saying is I could take an imp as a pet if I got to learn more about it. The whole magical community would be interested to learn. I said, so you want me to imp sit for you for a day while you get set up with an imp terrarium? I said, well, yeah, Ollie, that is what I'm asking. Are you willing? Ollie took a good long look in the mirror. There's an imp on his head. Get your hand out of your mouth. Don't put it back up there. I said, well, It will do the imp some good, I imagine. I know you'll take good care of it, and it is for science, kind of. There you go, Ollie, that's the spirit. Just feed it as little as possible so that when I come, I can give it a bunch of food and make it come to me. So Ollie and Norberta, they had a weird, weird day. They hung out in Ollie's apartment. They read books. They watched a movie or two. They ate hardly anything. They couldn't help but give the imp a couple little snacks because it was very cute. And it really loved the snacks, but they tried to feed it as little as possible. And they made sure all the doors and windows were locked. And they went to bed and hoped for the best. They didn't know what it was going to be like in the morning. Norberta had slept on the couch. Ollie sleeps in an aquarium, so, that's where he was. They were a little worried because, they'd basically decided to let a wild animal just be loose in Ollie's apartment overnight. When they woke up, they found a few things knocked over, for sure. But the imp was just sitting patiently on the windowsill, looking out the window. They had breakfast, coffee. They gave the imp another little snack. About then, there was a big knock on the door. And, Ollie, it's me. I've got what I need. Is the imp still there? I said, yep, it's here. It's here, just kind of looking at us. I said, all right. Is it near the door? Is it okay to open the door? I said, I think it's okay to open the door. The wizard came in, and he was in his full regalia. Wearing a big, long, purple robe with silver stars. Get your hand out of your mouth. Big purple robe with silver stars and a gold sash and a big pointy hat. And as soon as he came in the room, the monster looked right at him. I mean, you'd have to. Crazy looking wizard guy. And when the wizard guy got close, the monster jumped onto his head. No, he had taken off his hat. That's a good point, yes. He took off his hat. And the imp jumped right on his head. He said, hello. You and I are going to be fast friends. And he took out a cookie out of his pocket and gave it to the imp, and the imp munched it hungrily. He said, now here's the thing, little friend. I need to transport you across town. I've got a little trick I hope you'll like. He showed him the inside of the hat, and inside of the hat was lined with carrots. He gently, slowly lowered the hat over the imp on his head. He waited nervously. Then he heard munching. All right, Ollie. I've got about 20 minutes worth of carrots in there, I think. So I got to get back. I'll let you know how this goes. Thanks for taking good care of the imp. Norberta, nice to meet you. And with that, he was gone. The wizard. And the imp. Ollie and Norberta looked at each other. That was one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me, Norberta said. I said, it was weird. A lot of weird things that happened to me. Not sure it even makes it in my top 10, but it was weird, I'll give you that. Norberta said, Ollie, you live a strange life. I think I'm going to go back to my apartment and relax. It's been lovely spending a day with you. But it's time for a break. But maybe can we go get coffee tomorrow morning? I said, sure. And hopefully there'll be no magical creatures. Just coffee and a friend. And that is Ollie in the case of the imp in the tree.